Hey guys, today let's do the unboxing and overview of the Samsung Galaxy Fold 4. This is the most recently released iteration, the fourth iteration of the series, just released a few months ago this year. And it retails for a whopping $1,800. That's maybe not surprising because all the Fold phones have been quite expensive, but this one is not any cheaper than any of their predecessors. So Samsung has kept up the price, and I think the reason for that is because it's so unique and it pretty much has a monopoly on the folded tablet market in the US, right? I mean, the Chinese actually have a few phones. They make the Huawei, and I think Xiaomi actually has a folded phone as well, foldable phone, but those are not released in the US. So really, in the US and Canada here, Samsung really has no competitors when it comes to this type of foldable. So I actually got this online for cheaper than that. I wasn't going to pay the full $1,800, of course. That's kind of crazy. I paid about $1,300 for it, so a substantial $500 discount. I still think it's quite expensive for a phone, but we are talking about a phone that can also be a tablet here, so it's a very unique device. So you might be wondering, why am I getting the Fold 4? I already have a Samsung Fold 2, which I did a video review of last year. So the thing is, when I got the Fold 2, I use the Fold 2 a lot actually. It is my main phone here up in Canada, so I use this as my main daily driver. And yeah, it's a really nice phone. I mean, I really use it a lot. I really like the fact that I can open it up, and then in the tablet view, I use it for a lot of things, right? I can use it to talk to my friends with a lot of my messaging apps. I can open up to look at pictures, look at websites, look at the maps. It's just anything that requires like a bigger display that would benefit from a bigger display, enhances the experience, and I use it a lot actually, right? Just even if I want to browse Amazon, eBay, just anything, looking at any kind of website, I can just open up. Also when I'm showing videos, right? Like say I go to a meetup and then I'll show pictures or videos to someone, then I can just expand it out like this and they can see it a lot easier. So there's just so many use cases for this. And yeah, it's definitely my daily driver. So I use this phone a lot, and there are a few problems I have with it, even though it's overall I think it's a pretty nice phone and very unique, of course. But I do have some issues with it. There are three main issues I have with it. One is that the camera is just okay. It's not like a flagship level camera. It will take decent pictures, but the pictures are probably from the quality you'll see from a flagship camera like from 2018, right? Or 2019. It's not this is like a 2020 phone, I know, but the camera here is not flagship level. It's probably like equal to a high-end flagship phone from 2018. So it's not like the type of camera you'd expect from a top-end phone or $1,800 phone from 2020. So one thing is the camera. I know it's pretty useful. It's got the three telescopic, wide angle, ultra wide angle that most people would care about. But yeah, just the picture quality and the camera quality in itself is a little bit lackluster, given the fact that this was supposed to be one of Samsung's flagship phones. Definitely does not measure up to even like Samsung's S20 at the time, 21 or S22. So definitely was looking to have a better camera, because this camera is just okay. Second thing is how bulky it is. So because I carry this phone all the time, like right, when using a phone you carry like this all the time, this phone has a lot of heft and bulk to it because it expands out to a tablet. So I mean, it's definitely something I can understand, but again, I wish this phone was lighter, because yeah, like I'm carrying this with my one hand all the time basically, so I feel it every time I use it. So the second thing is the bulk. Third thing I have to say is this front display here. I use the front display actually a lot more than the inner display. So even though I do like the inner display, and like I said, it has a bunch of use cases, it's very unique. I can just open it up and then everything gets enhanced, but I always find out I open up the display to look at something, check something, and then I'll just close it back again to use the regular display, because, well, the regular display is just more convenient for me to use. I don't want to constantly open up my phone like this to use it, right? So the front display is one that I actually use more. It's just more convenient for me to use this as a regular phone. So yeah, I do enjoy using the tablet display, but I do use the front display more, and it's super narrow. You can see it's very tall, very narrow. So when you have text like regular web pages, it'll kind of like just shrink like this, and you have to end up scrolling a lot because it's so narrow compared to a regular phone. So those are the three issues I had with the Fold 2. Now, that's exactly why I decided to upgrade to the Fold 4, because the Fold 3, which came out last year, I didn't find any real compelling reason to upgrade to it, because really the only thing they added, it's basically the same as the Fold 2, except they added water resistance, more ruggedness, and durability, which is all nice, but they're just really a little bit extra nice to have things, right? There's nothing that dramatically changes the experience of using it. But the Fold 4, from what I've seen and heard, the Fold 4 is a dramatic improvement over the Fold 2. So you should be getting a bigger display. Battery life was already pretty good on the Fold 2, but of course Fold 4 should have good battery life too. The cameras have been improved and upgraded. That's another thing. And the weight has been reduced. So basically that's all three of my main concerns addressed, right? Camera has been improved, number one. And then the bulkiness has been addressed, number two. I'm not sure, I have to check it out how bulky it is when I unbox it, but that seems, they say they've made it lighter. And the thirdly is they've increased the size of the outer screen a bit. So that's all three of my issues addressed, which is why I went for the Fold 4. So I know it's very expensive still, but I decided since I use this phone as my daily driver all the time, it is worth upgrading it if it's going to be a dramatic improvement. So let's do the unboxing. This is a fairly like small narrow box, so let's see what they have here. Alright, so here is the Fold 4. Then over here is I'm guessing the Samsung. Okay, you got the accessories. Manual I'm guessing is in here as well. Nope, maybe just a quick start guide. Yep, all you get is, oh yeah, this is shipped directly from Korea, by the way. So yeah, this is in Korean. So this is the warranty. It says Chaepom Jung Po Jung So right here. So yeah, it's the warranty, I'm guessing. And that's really it. There's no like manual or, yeah, no quick start guide or manual or anything. And yeah, this is a USB-C to USB-C cable right here, of course. No charging brick, I don't think. There's a phone set aside, and I think that's it. Yeah, they don't give you a charging brick, and that's the unfortunate thing, is that Samsung really decided to copy Apple when it comes to not giving you a lot of stuff. So Apple took out the charging brick when you open up the phone. I don't know who's honking their horn out there, but it's really annoying. So yeah, unfortunately Samsung has decided to copy Apple when it comes to taking away a lot of the stuff. So yeah, just like Apple, Samsung has taken away the headphone jack. Just like Apple, they decided not to give you a charger in the box. And that's why I'm not really a huge fan of Samsung, honestly. I only buy this phone because they're the only player in the market. But if there was another option, you know, another company that was making foldables like this, I would probably go for them. Like Sony, for example. Sony, please make a foldable. Like, I love your Xperia phones, but they're just a little bit too big. For me, I don't like phones that are too big. The fact that the foldable collapses is what interests me. So, yeah, I mean, I like Sony's Xperias. It's just, it's a little bit too big for me. If they made it collapsible like the Fold, I would just, yeah, I would definitely go for a Sony foldable if they made one. Because, yeah, Samsung's not my favorite company because of the fact that they chose to follow Apple's footsteps and took away the SD card and headphone jack and the charging brick, I guess. Alright, so here is the Fold 4. It's brand new. Yep, I got it straight from Korea at a $500 discount. Still expensive, but definitely I'm not going to pay the $1,800 retail price, that's for sure. So, very nice looking phone. I think this is the color, what, the dark green color or something like that? It honestly looks gray to me. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think this is supposed to be dark green, but it actually looks kind of gray. So, yeah. Yep, fold it in like this, and have they decreased the weight? Okay, let me compare it directly. Okay, so this is my Fold 2, and this is the Fold 4. Very new. So let's see. This one, I'm pretty used to the weight of this one. I hold it every day. This one, definitely, it does feel lighter. Now, is it as light as a normal size smartphone, like your average like iPhone or Pixel or Samsung? No, it's still heavier than that, right? I mean, it has to be because inside, right, there's another screen, so it's a foldable tablet, but it's definitely noticeably lighter. Yeah, I'll have to actually look at how much lighter exactly, but yeah, like this one, like I just can't hold it in my hand for very long. This one, yeah, I mean, it's still kind of bulky though, right? Still kind of bulky, but definitely I can notice that this one is noticeably, I can definitely notice that this one is lighter. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, like holding this one actually might cause a little bit of arm fatigue, right? If I hold this for a very long time. This one, yeah, I can definitely hold this for longer. It might cause arm fatigue, but really, yeah, it's definitely a lot easier on my wrists, for sure. Okay, yeah, so this one definitely feels noticeably lighter. Another thing is the display. So apparently this one is slightly, it's got a little bit more display, and I think it's not too noticeable from here, but maybe you guys can tell, right? It's like maybe an inch more. It's got like a slightly larger display. I know it seems like a minimal difference, but apparently people in the reviews say it really does matter a lot, even though it doesn't seem like a big difference. But this extra millimeter of display here, it actually does matter, I think, because when you use this display so much, I think maybe you can tell the difference. It's like 1 inch more on this display is like 1 inch more or something. Yeah, and the cameras. So what Samsung did now is they actually put their flagship cameras on the Fold 4, which honestly they should have done with the Fold back when they made the first Folds. Yeah, the Fold 2, they should have done that as well. But I'm glad that Samsung actually decided to put their flagship cameras on here, because when I bought the Fold 2, I was like, why didn't Samsung put their flagship cameras on? The same thing with the Z Flip 3 when I had the Z Flip 3. Why didn't Samsung put their S22, S21 Ultra, or S22 cameras on the foldables? I mean, they're priced like their flagship, right? So both the Fold and the Flip are basically flagship level phones because they're priced as such. So they should definitely get the latest cameras, right? So I didn't understand why the Z Flip 3 and the Z Fold 2, both of which I used for a long time. I used this one for 1.5 years. Z Flip 3 also used for about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year. But both of them I used heavily. So yeah, just the cameras. Like, I don't understand. I use the cameras a lot, right? As a lot of people do with their phones. I just didn't understand why Samsung didn't put the flagship level cameras on their foldables. But finally, they decided to do it with the Fold 4. So, good on them. All right, let's actually compare the specs of the two so I can actually tell you guys exactly the differences. Okay, so the weight of the Galaxy Fold 2 is 282 grams, and the weight of the Fold 4 is 263 grams. So it's exactly about, well, it's about 20 grams lighter. Yeah, give or take. About 20 grams lighter, so I guess that's a noticeable difference. The Fold 4 has IPX8 water resistance, an armor aluminum frame, and stylus support, which the Fold 2 does not have. So it's nice getting water resistance. I mean, I try not to use this a lot when there's like, when it's raining anyways. It rains a lot in Vancouver. I try not to use this a lot when it's raining, but of course it's inevitable when you're living in a city that rains for like 4 months out of the year. So I did get some water on this before, but I don't think it actually did affect it that much. So even though the Fold 2 doesn't officially have any water resistance, it has gotten raindrops and stuff on it without any, and this phone still works fine. But this one, regardless, the Fold 4 should be more durable because it's officially IPX8 rated. It still has the durability specs of the Fold 3. Okay, so let's talk about the displays now. You open it up. Both of these have exactly the same size inner display, so they're both 7.6 inches. They're both called Foldable Dynamic AMOLED 2X. They're both 120 Hz. They're both HDR10+. So the specs of these inner displays are almost the same. Now the resolution is actually a little bit different, which is pretty interesting. So the Fold 2 has a 1768 by 2208 resolution, and the Fold 4 has an 1812 by 2176 resolution, even though they're both same size. So yeah, they're both 7.6 inches, but it seems like the Fold 4 actually has a little bit more horizontal width, and the Fold 2 has a little bit more vertical width. So the Fold 4 has 1812 horizontal width, and the Fold 2 has 1768, and the Fold 4 has 2176 vertical height, and the Fold 2 has 2208. So I'm not sure why that is, but it seems that Fold 4 has a little bit more pixels on the horizontal, on the width, and yeah, the Fold 2 has a little bit more pixels on the height. Not sure why. And of course the front displays are a little bit different. So the front display of the Fold 2 is a Super AMOLED 6.2 inch 816 by 2260 resolution, and that's it. And then the Fold 4 is a dynamic AMOLED 2X, has 120 Hertz. I think the Fold 2 does not have 120 Hertz on the front display, but the Fold 4 does. Actually, the Fold 4 front display is almost the same size diagonally. It's 6.2 inches. The Fold 2 is actually 6.23 inches on the front display, but the Fold 4 I think has a different aspect ratio. So the aspect ratio of the Fold 4 is a 23.1 to 9 ratio. That's a really weird ratio. And the Fold 2 ratio is also weird. It's 25 to 9. So even though the diagonals of these two front displays are almost the same, they're about 6.2 inches, both of them, the aspect ratios are different. So yeah, it seems that that's why the Fold 4, people say that the Fold 4 seems like a little bit more like a normal phone when you use it like this. So it's more like a normal phone on the front display, whereas the Fold 2 is just super narrow, as you can see. So yeah, front displays, obviously I think the Fold 4 would be better for most people because it looks, yeah, if you have a little bit more width, the aspect ratio is a little bit better for normal tasks. I just think the Fold 2 was just too narrow for me. And the processors are different, of course. The Fold 4 is a more powerful processor. The Fold 2 has a Snapdragon 865 5G+, and GPU is an Adreno 650, whereas the Fold 4 has a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 with an Adreno 730. So, of course, the Fold 4 is going to be faster. It has a newer CPU in it. Memory-wise, they're exactly the same. They're both 256 gig. You can upgrade the storage. I mean, not upgrade, but you can get a different model of storage for both. But I went for the lowest option, which is 256, which is still enough for me. That's a lot of storage space for a phone. So 256 gigabyte internal storage for both. That's for both of them, and then 12 gigs of RAM for both of them. So yeah, exactly the same amount of RAM and memory in storage. Alright, now the cameras. Alright, so for the cameras, I'm hoping to see a pretty big difference in the specs here. The Fold 2 has a 12 megapixel main camera, that's the wide one, f1.8. The telephoto, also a 12 megapixel, f2.4. And the ultra wide is also 12 megapixels, f2.2. So all 12 megapixel cameras. Like I said, the camera specs are from, the camera quality is like a phone from 2018. So it's just so-so. Then the Fold 4, a substantial upgrade here to 50 megapixels. Yes, went from 12 megapixel main camera on the Fold 2 to a 50 megapixel main camera on the Fold 4 f1.8. Then interestingly, the telephoto is a 10 megapixels. So I'm not sure if this is a mistake by GSM Arena, but it looks like they went from a 12 megapixel f2.4 to a 10 megapixel one 2.4. I don't know why the megapixel count went down for the telephoto. That's a little bit weird to me. Then it's a 12 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide. The ultra wide camera looks exactly the same. So it looks like, I don't know why the telephoto lens seems to be a little bit degraded. Actually it has 3x optical zoom on here. Okay, so maybe it is a better lens. Looks like it has 3x optical zoom on the telephoto here, whereas the old one, the 2, has 2x optical zoom. Okay, so maybe I can't go by the megapixel count. Looks like it maybe it might be better on the Fold 4. I have to test it out. The ultra wide looks exactly the same though. The main upgrade is the main camera. The main camera on the Fold 2, the Fold 4 is a 50 megapixel main camera, which is a substantial upgrade from the 12 megapixel on the Fold 2. Now let's look at the selfie cameras. Is there a upgrade in the selfie cameras? Okay, so the cover camera here is basically going to be the one on the front display here, I think that's exactly the same. They're both 10 megapixel f2.2. So I think the front camera here is actually the one I use more, I would say, for selfies. So the cover camera, they're both, yeah, 10 megapixel f2.2. Yeah, no upgrade there. On the inside, the Fold, interestingly, it seems like the Fold 4, is this a, I'm not sure if this is a mistake or something, but the Fold 4 has a 4 megapixel camera in here, f1.8, which is a little bit weird because Fold 2 has a 10 megapixel f2.2. So I guess this one should be a little bit sharper since it's a lower f-stop. It's f1.8 versus f2.2, but the megapixel count is substantially reduced on the Fold 4 for the inside camera here. It's a 4 megapixel, whereas this one was a 10 megapixel. So it looks like the megapixel count got a huge downgrade for the inside selfie camera. Now, I don't really use the inside selfie camera, but I just thought you guys should know that there is a substantial megapixel decrease for the Fold 4. It went from 10 to 4. Not sure. Again, maybe they reduced the megapixel count in order to put like a better sensor in there or something like that, or a more sharp sensor. I'm not sure. I'll have to find out when I test it. So yeah, and Bluetooth 5.2, of course, the new version of Bluetooth 5 on the old version. Wi-Fi is all the same, no difference there. I guess this one has 6E, whereas this one has 6, so I don't really know what is Wi-Fi 6E though. And yeah, everything else is about the same. Battery life, this one actually has slightly less. It's 4,400 milliamp hours, whereas the Fold 2 has 4,500 milliamp hours. But this one could get better battery life because if the CPU is more optimized, then it might actually get better battery life. But the battery like capacity is about the same for the two. All right, and look at the controls here. Let's compare it here. So they're both pretty bulky on the sides here, both fairly thick phones. Pretty similar, I'd say. The volume rockers are both right here. Then the on button and the fingerprint sensor are both right here. That has not changed. They moved the SIM card slot from down here on the Fold 2 to up here on the Fold 4. And both USB-C charging at the bottom. I'm guessing stereo speakers because this is speaker, but they also have another set of speakers up here as well. And I think one of these speakers is actually on the, yeah, when you're calling or whatever, you're using another one of the speakers. So anyways, looks like here might actually have more microphones though. So yeah, I see more of these small little holes. Is that for more microphones on the Fold 4? Might be. It might be that the Fold 4 has more microphones. I see more holes up here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of the specs and the, yeah, how it looks. We'll say Samsung up on the side here. So yeah, now it's time to actually test it out and see how the Fold 4 compares for performance. Alright, so finally got my Galaxy Fold 4 set up. I have to have my anime wallpapers here, of course. So yeah, what I have to say about this, obviously the weight is the first thing I notice about using this phone, especially in tablet mode. So when I put both of these in tablet mode, like holding them both, yeah, like this phone, the Fold 2, it's like if I hold it for a long time, definitely I can feel it in my hands and my arms, right? Whereas the Fold 4, it's like, yeah, I can keep holding this for a while, no problem. Like with one hand. It's used to be like this phone, I can't really hold it with one hand. The Fold 2, I can't hold it for one hand for very long. I have to kind of support it with both hands, right? Whereas, yeah, Fold 4, one hand, no problem. I can keep holding it for a while. So yeah, that's a pretty big difference I noticed is definitely the weight difference for the Fold 4 it's a huge improvement. I think that's one of the biggest reasons actually why I like the Fold 4. Everything else, yeah, the fingerprint sensor obviously works just fine. And yeah, the rest of it, I mean, I already covered this in my other 2 Fold videos. I already did 2 videos about the Fold, the first generation, the second generation, which is this one. So yeah, everything else is pretty much the same, right? Just this screen, right? The cover display, which is actually the screen I use the most on the Fold, is yeah, like I said, pretty minor difference if you look at the actual display sizes. This is like maybe like, yeah, 1 millimeter, you get like 1 millimeter more or something like that. But actually it does make a big difference when you use it. Because I mean, just look at this here, right? You can obviously tell, even though this display size-wise doesn't seem to be a big difference, but like you can tell it here, right? Like this is just way more narrow, the Fold 2. The Fold 2 just looks way more narrow than the Fold 4 does. So in practice, it does make a big difference. So yeah, I mean, spec-wise, doesn't seem like it's a big difference, but really the aspect ratio in practice does make a big difference. So yeah, I have to say, I mean, like even look at the footprint of these two. Yeah, it looks about the same, right? But in practice, definitely the Fold 4, I like the cover display of the Fold 4 better. It's just way too narrow on the Fold 2. And oh yes, for the front displays, this one is 120 Hertz refresh rate. This one is not. This one's standard 60 Hertz, I think. But you can definitely tell a difference, right? This one versus this one is a lot smoother. And it's definitely noticeable. Like, yeah, this one is just whatever, your standard phone screen. This one, you can definitely tell is so smooth. When I scroll up and down, left and right, definitely there's a noticeable smoother, like you can definitely tell, right? Everything is moving a little bit more smoothly on this display. And definitely if you're playing games and stuff like that, you'll definitely notice it more on this display as well. So definitely the 120 Hertz on the front display here. Of course, on the inside, they're both 120 Hertz, but on the outside, this is definitely an improved screen. And then inside, if you look at the tablet mode for both, not a big difference for the display. I don't feel a big difference. Like for the cover display, I can feel a noticeable difference for the bigger display here. The inside display, not so much, about the same. But one thing I will say, that the crease, right? You notice that the crease here for the Fold 2 is a bit more noticeable than on the Fold 4. So that's one thing, I guess. For those of you, the crease actually never really bothered me all that much, but for some people it bothered them. So yeah, the Fold 2 crease is definitely more noticeable than the Fold 4 crease. So yeah, definitely if the crease bothers you, then the Fold 4 is definitely an improvement on that as well. So that's all I can say about the differences in the inner display. Otherwise, they're pretty similar. Another thing I have to note is that the Fold 4 is definitely built better. Like it's water resistant, of course, IPX8 rated, and it's just built to be more durable. I took that from the Fold 3, but I can show you guys exactly what I mean here. Look at the bottoms here, right? You see how the Fold 2, it's like it's got this little bit of screen kind of like in the middle here. It's kind of like jutting out. It doesn't look like it's folded completely flat. It's like, yeah, it's not like completely flat, is it? But this is the most I can fold back. So it's got a little bit of screen jutting out here, and it doesn't look like it's folded completely flat. And look at the Fold 4. You can see a difference here, right? Fold 4 looks like it's completely flat, and there's no screen, no edge here jutting out, like on the Fold 2. So you can tell that the Samsung has definitely made a lot of improvement with the iterations here. The Fold 2, I mean, so far nothing has happened to the Fold 2. I used it for 1.5 years, but Fold 4 is definitely more durable. It's more durable looking, and it is more durable. Like this little gap here with the screen, I think if some dust or something get in, not sure what will happen. And yeah, it just doesn't look like it's folded completely flat like that. But Fold 4, yeah, there's no space here for anything to get in. It's like, yeah, totally no space here, no gap, folded completely flat 180. So I think definitely they made an improvement when it came to the durability. See, and you guys can tell, see how the Fold 2 doesn't look like it's folded completely flat. The Fold 4 does. So yeah, definitely Samsung made an improvement there. So that's really all I can say. Otherwise, usage is pretty similar. If you want to use, I would say for the inner display, you can use the outer display just like a regular phone, especially now that this is lighter and the front display is more like a normal phone now. You can definitely use the outer display like a normal phone. But then, you know, people will be wondering, well, what do you use this inside display for? Is it worth paying the extra cash to have this inside display? Well, think about if you use maps, if you're reading something on a web page, like here, like a web page like this, it does make a big difference, right? Like now, when you use this as a tablet, right, especially as a tablet that you can carry everywhere, like just being able to have this bigger display is so much more useful. So let's just be reading, and oftentimes, you know, if I need to kill time or something like that, let's pull up a web page, and this is a lot nicer. Not to mention the front cover display for the Fold 4 has 120 Hz refresh too, so that actually looks smoother as well. But if I want to read something, I'll read it on the inside screen mostly. So yeah, everything else you can think about, right? Whether it's messaging a friend, or, you know, using maps or something like that, chatting with people, using Facebook, right? Everything is improved basically by using this bigger display. So it's just an improvement all around. So if you want to play games, like say I want to play Hearthstone and stuff. Actually, I don't think this is quite optimized. Yeah, this game doesn't seem to be too optimized for it. There's still a lot of space. Oh, interesting. I can like put it in the middle or something like that. I can put it more towards the side or the side. Yeah, this game doesn't look as too optimized for it. But definitely still the gaming experience is going to be better on the inner display compared to a regular phone, right? You just get so much more space here, 7.6 inches. Yeah, I mean, watching videos, going to be better on the inner display as well. So let's say this is my YouTube channel. Let's see, watch me and my friend walk around Burnaby. I think speakers are pretty much about the same. I don't see any big difference in the speakers here. Right. There's full volume speakers.
You can pull it up too. It's actually.
Oh yeah. It's my park anyways.
I'm gonna take it easy tonight. Try to get it.
And if you really want like the craft brewery bars and stuff.
Inspiring cannabis will inspire you. Dynasty Dumpling House.
It's gone, man. It's gone, man. Yeah, definitely like watching videos, going to websites, maps, messaging friends. That's mostly what I use the inner display for. The games sometimes as well. So basically everything is improved by using this bigger inner display. So that's, yeah, if someone asks you if you're buying a Fold, yeah, what are you going to use the inner display for? Is it worth paying all this extra money to get this foldable? Well, depends what your use case are for if you're going to do a lot of reading web pages or watching videos and stuff on your phone, then I'd say you benefit from this. Another thing about the inner display is that with the latest updates, you can update the Fold 2 with the latest as well. It'll have this, there's a dock right down at the bottom where you can easily switch to another app. So yeah, both the Fold 2, Fold 3, and Fold 4, maybe even the original Fold. Anyways, Samsung did give an update to all the Fold devices where you can have this little dock here. So it's almost like like a desktop, right? Like a desktop computer or an iPad, I should say. Yeah, it's more like the iPad. We can easily switch between apps just by clicking that back and forth. So it's very easy to multitask when you do that. So yeah, it's all down here at the bottom. I'm gonna switch to Chrome like this. So it's very, very fast and easy to just switch your apps using this app switcher thing at the bottom. And this is available for all Fold devices, but I just wanted to show this. Last but not least, I'm going to test the camera. So let's test the camera. This is a Fold 2 camera. This is the selfie camera here. Then I'm going to use the back camera, which is probably what most people are interested in. Let's take another photo here. Okay, and let's take the same photo, the Fold 4, using the default wide-angle lens. Let's open it up. So yeah, this is using both of these cameras' standard wide-angle lens to take photos of the Osmo Action 3. So basically, they're the same picture in terms of how I took them. Yeah, you can take a look This is the Fold 2, the 12 megapixel wide angle, and this is the 50 megapixel Fold 4. And maybe you guys can see the difference, maybe not. I definitely notice there's a temperature difference between the two. But yeah, I bet I can even get really zoom really into this photo without losing any clarity here. And I think here is where you can really see the difference. See, you never notice, like, once I really zoom in here, right, this is a 12 megapixel for the Fold 2. You can see, like, you're starting to see some blurriness here. Starting to see some blurriness, whereas on the Fold 4, you can start to see more still can see some texture, right, on the camera, whereas the texture has started to disappear on the Fold 2. And yeah, and that's because the Fold 4 has a better camera with more megapixels. So yeah, I think you can pretty much see here the differences. You can definitely see the texture here in this one. This one, not so much. It's already started to get blurry. Yeah, zoomed out, maybe the differences are not quite as clear, but once you zoom in more, you can definitely see the differences now, right? This one, definitely see that it's capturing a lot more texture as you zoom in, and as you zoom in here, you can start to see it's already start to get blurry here, missing a lot of the detail that you can see on the Fold 4's photo. So that's it, guys. The Samsung Galaxy Fold 4 compared to the Fold 2 that I had previously. I really like the Fold 2. I mean, like I said, it's my daily driver for a long time. 1.5 years using the same phone is actually a long time for me. But obviously the Fold 4 I think is the better device. It's lighter, big difference if you're going to carry this a lot, especially with one hand, and especially making a big difference when you carry in tablet mode with one hand. Much better camera. It's a flagship level camera, and yeah, you didn't get that on the 12. Is just like using, I wouldn't call it mid-range camera, but it's definitely not flagship. And yeah, you got a bigger front display here, so you guys can obviously see the Fold 2 looks a lot more narrow, and in everyday life this does make a difference. The Fold 4 feels more like you're using a normal phone. So yeah, that's it, guys. As for whether or not the Fold 4 is worth the asking price, I mean, it's expensive, and that's because right now it's the only phone that can do what it does right now, and that's because Samsung has a monopoly. Like I said, I wish Sony or other manufacturers, too bad LG's out of the market, but yeah, I wish Sony or other manufacturers, somebody will make like a competitor to Samsung in the American market. But so far we don't really have any competitors, therefore Samsung has free reign to charge however much they want. It's kind of a shame. I really don't like Samsung. I don't like, the Fold was pretty much, the Fold 2 was like the first Samsung phone I bought in a long time, and the Z Flip 3 after that, because really the options are dwindling. Like Sony's only making like these huge, tall, big phones now. Unfortunately, they used to make really nice compact phones, not anymore, and LG's out of the market. So, and you know, obviously HTC, BlackBerry, all those like are long dead, and Motorola is not really an option anymore. I know Asus actually makes a Zen phone, but I haven't seen Asus make a foldable phone yet, and Asus really should make a foldable phone because they've made foldable laptops. So it's about time they get into the foldable phone business. IMO, I would buy an Asus phone if they did that. Oh yeah, Google Pixel. Yeah, if Google ever made a Pixel foldable, then I would definitely buy it over the Samsung. I mean, I'm a huge Pixel fan. I own a few Pixels in the past, and I like their user experience better. I mean, it's more pure Android. Samsung puts their like UI layer over it I don't really like. Installs a bunch of their apps I don't really like. And yeah, I would definitely prefer a Pixel foldable. So Sony or Google, please make a foldable and sell it, you know, here in America or Canada, because I would definitely buy it if they did that. Yeah, I would much prefer that over Samsung, but I have no choice if I want a foldable right now, so therefore I have to go with the Fold 4 right now. And also Microsoft as well. Microsoft made the Surface Duo. The second one is out right now. I'm not really into it. I bought the first one to check out, and yeah, it just didn't really work for me because it's for a very specific use case. You have to be using both of the displays at the same time to really get much benefit out of it. And you know, how many people really use two displays at the same time all the time, right? Most people are just going to use one display at a time most of the time. So that makes the Surface Duo kind of a hard sell, right? You have to be pretty much multitasking all the time in order to really make use of it. So that's why I couldn't really keep the Surface Duo. I mean, Microsoft had a really interesting concept, but and same thing with the LG like GAX that I had. The dual screen devices are really interesting. But yeah, for the use case, it's really pretty narrow. Like that's why I got the Fold, because the Fold is just folds out to one big display, which is a lot more useful to me than two slightly smaller displays, which you have to use at the same time. So yeah, I wish Microsoft would make its own foldable, kind of like Samsung does, instead of having their unique device, which is interesting, but it's just not that useful to me. Like I just can't see a use case where it would be more useful than Samsung's like fold out inner display. I think that's a lot more useful than having two separate but smaller displays. Like that's, to me, it's a very specific use case. So anyways, as for whether or not it's worth the price, like I said, depends on how much you use. How much you plan on using that inner display. For me, it's actually, I use it a lot for maps, messaging people, reading websites, watching videos, photos, everything like that. Yeah, I actually use it quite a bit. So if you do use that quite a bit, then I think it's actually worth it. I mean, I didn't pay full price for it. I paid $1,300, but that's about the price of a high-end laptop, right? Of an Ultrabook, and I use this more than Ultrabook, right? If you think about it, if you use phones probably more than your laptop, I'd say, unless you're one of those types that really are on the computer all day. I mean, I am, but I would still use my phone a lot. So I think the phone is probably the most used electronic device for most people, right? So if you think about it that way, then the $1,300 is a good investment, especially if you're going to keep it for a while. So yeah, like I said, the Fold 2, I had those issues with it, which were fixed by the Fold 4. So I don't foresee myself upgrading from the Fold 4 anytime soon. I'm probably going to use it for at least a few years. So anyways, guys, let me know if you have any comments. And as always, thanks for watching.